The San Francisco 49ers just got a flurry, an onslaught of good news following a statement win against the Chicago Bears. It comes on the backdrop, however, on a really tough playoff picture for the 49ers. But the 49ers can put the pressure on the inconsistent Seahawks with another win and mini bye starting this Thursday. In this video, I have 5 great pieces of information, great pieces of news to make your Victory Monday feel better. If you're new here, I'm Nate. I make daily 49ers content. Please consider a subscription to this YouTube channel. If that's interesting to you, hit that subscribe button. But let's get into the news, starting with Aaron Banks cleared concussion protocol. That's point number 1, okay? There's 5 of them. Matt Barrows reporting that Aaron Banks cleared the concussion protocol and should be able to play Thursday. Ben Bartch, meanwhile, has a high ankle sprain and will miss a few weeks, potentially ending up on injured reserve. Now, this is, of course, a disappointment for Ben Bartch, who has played really well in the couple of chances that he was given. And you know what? I wanted to see more of Ben Bartch. I told you that. I want to see more of Ben Bartch, not because I don't like Aaron Banks, but I know what we have in Aaron Banks. I don't know for sure what we have in Ben Bartch. Let me see him for the remainder of the season, even if Banks is back, because I want to see if this is a guy the 49ers should pursue further, and I want to know, do we pay Aaron Banks? Because he's, of course, about to be a free agent. So the 49ers, of course, have to make a decision about Aaron Banks. It would be nice to know with confidence who Ben Bartch is on the good and the bad against the Lions, against some of these tougher teams. It would be nice to know. But you know what? We're not going to get that information because Ben Bartch is going to be out. The good news, however, is that Aaron Banks, your starting left guard, is back in. And I know that you're like, there's a little bit of negativity around Aaron Banks, but I think he's pretty solid. I think he's significantly better than what we have in Spencer Burford in the backup. So I'm going to say, despite Ben Bartch's injury, having Banks back is a good thing. And I like him. I think the 49ers are probably going to re-sign him unless they think there's something else they have in Ben Bartch that is that good. I think Bartch is probably your future backup guy because I don't think that Spencer Burford's going to be here. But we'll wait and see. Who knows? Let me know what you think in the comments about that one, but I think that was fantastic news. I'm excited about that. Moving on to point number 2, which is that the linebacker core, my goodness, they showed up yesterday. I don't know if it's the pressure of knowing that Dre Greenlaw is around the corner and about to return, and so guys like Devondre Campbell feel like they're playing for their life, but they played great football. And if you look at this, the 3 highest-graded 49ers defenders versus Chicago, thanks to David Lombardi on this tweet, Jalen Graham, Devondre Campbell, and D. Winters. By the way, nice shout out to Jalen Graham. I did not even really catch him during the game. So there's got to be something in the game. I have to watch it back and see what I missed because it could be because he's on special teams too. But what I did see, what I will say I saw, I did see Devondre Campbell and I did see D. Winters, and I shouted them both out after the game yesterday. You can watch that video. It's on my channel. But I feel really good about the guy that Devondre Campbell is becoming. And unfortunately, it's probably too little too late. We'll have to wait and see how it goes with Dre Greenlaw, but I'm hoping Dre Greenlaw is back 100%, and I'm excited for him to make it on the field. We saw what a difference it could make, by the way, with Hufanga, which I'm going to get to him in a second, but we saw what a difference it could make with a healthy Hufanga, with a tone setter kind of player, how different it feels. And that's, I think, what we're going to get out of Dre Greenlaw. Again, not a guy who's going to just save your whole season. All right, because I think it's too little too late for the 49ers this season. But I would love to see, I know, you're going to be like, no, but the draft pick, I understand that. I would much rather, that's just my opinion, let me know in the comments you disagree, that's fine. I would much rather see the 49ers win out this season if they're not going to make the playoffs than be terrible the rest of the season and not make the playoffs. That's my honest opinion. That's just me. I think that a winning team, a team with a winning formula, a team with a winning mentality, a team that has winners on it is a lot better than a team that is broken that needs a good draft pick. I know, I get it. Mathematically, if you know you're not going to make the playoffs, it's a heck of a lot better to just lose all the games. The problem is, The thing that goes along with losing is what we've been seeing all season long. It's dysfunction, it's frustration, it's negativity, it's bad energy, it's bad vibes. I don't want any of that around the 49ers locker room. I want them going off into the offseason frustrated. I'm using nice, professional, non-colorful language here. I want them going off into the offseason feeling frustrated that they should be in the playoffs and they're not. And I want them to think about that every single week of the playoffs. I want them to think about that when it gets to the conference championship. I want them to think about that when it gets to the Super Bowl. And I want them to be as motivated as ever, as hungry as ever to come back this offseason, to come back in OTAs, to come back in training camp, to come back in preseason, and come back at the start of the season ready to make a statement that this team is better. This team is better than what the record shows. That's what I want to see. That's just where I'm at. I'm getting fired up about it. I'm going to move on to the next one here. But let's just, while we're talking about the fact that we have three of the three highest graded defenders this weekend, we're all linebackers. You add to that Dre Greenlaw's return supposedly on Thursday, hopefully on Thursday, as long as everything goes to plan. This is what they said about Christian McCaffrey, same thing. As long as everything goes to plan, he's starting on Thursday, which I think is fantastic as well. Moving on to point number 3, which is, I already teased it, Hufanga of old. It felt different than it when he came back from his first injury. It felt very different to me. I don't know how it felt to you, but Hufanga's impact when he came back early in the season felt a little rough. Felt like it wasn't the Hufanga of old. Huff yesterday was Hufanga. I mean, he was Hufanga. It felt like his presence was there. He's all over the field. He's all over the tape. And it felt like it made an impact on the rest of the team. It really felt that way to me. I know these are things that don't necessarily show up in stats, but there's a feel out there, and you know what I mean when you see it. There's a presence when he's on the field and he's healthy. So, I'm excited about that. John Chapman with an interesting tweet here. A good tweet, I should say. Not interesting, like sometimes interesting is not good or bad. Talanoa Hufanga has shown enough. Sign that man to an extension as soon as possible. He shows up and the defense goes elite real quick. Now, agree with the majority of what he said there. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure that he's saying this either, to be fair, but I'm not sure that I would say like the full turnaround is because Hufanga was there. But this was a mid-game tweet. This was a riding the high tweet. I think this was around halftime that I saw this tweet. So I'm with you, John. That was fantastic. It was exciting. I'm not going to hate on that whatsoever. Point number 4, the defensive line. Dirty in the trenches, violent in the trenches, fast, speed, and violence. This is that 49ers way on the defensive side of the ball. And my goodness, Yetur Gross-Matos chose a day to really come back strong and show what he was worth. The 49ers signed a couple guys in the wake of a lot of guys leaving. The Randy Gregorys, the Chase Youngs, a lot of guys. Eric Armstead. Almost said Derek Armstead. Eric Armstead, gone. All these guys leave, and who's left behind? Javon Hargrave, injured. Leonard Floyd, Yetur Gross-Matos. Yetur Gross-Matos injured as well. Leonard Floyd, historically very healthy. Historically, the last 4 seasons prior to this, of course, very solid in terms of numbers and production. Maybe not the same flavor you get from a Nick Bosa type of edge rusher, but definitely consistent in his stats. And he's continuing to move toward consistent. Look at him at 8.5 sacks, right on cue. If he continues to do what he's been doing this season, he's going to hit his average numbers of averaging double-digit sacks for 4 consecutive seasons. It will be the 5th consecutive season from Leonard Floyd, which I think is pretty darn helpful. In a weird way, it doesn't feel like as impactful, right? As like in my head, 10.5 sacks feels like, what he had 2 of the last 4 years, he had 10.5 sacks. But it's definitely made an impact, and I'm happy about that. I'll also throw out there that Yetur Gross-Matos was the other big move this offseason. Big, quote, okay? I think not as big as Leonard Floyd, but whatever. And you know what? Him having a 3-sack game yesterday really sealed the deal on something I think is massively, massively critical in these last several games. Like I said, guys, I want to see the 49ers win. So if you're not with me, I get it, all right? But as far as I'm concerned, what I want to see is this team really come together. And I want to see rhythm. I want to see everybody working together. I want to see all 4 quarters, all 3 phases. That's the kind of football I want to see. That's what I want to enjoy. And if we go into the offseason and we didn't make the playoffs, but we gave it the very best and we won out, I'm going to live with that. I'm going to be okay with that. Honestly, I will be. And I think Leonard Floyd playing like he's playing right now, these last couple weeks without Nick Bosa, he has really stepped up. Yetur Gross-Matos as a rotational guy would then give this defensive line what they have not had at the edge all season long, and that's comfortable, healthy, rotational depth on the edge. That's what the 49ers need, I think, to go out there and have that extra juice to get after the quarterback, and I think it's going to be massively critical as soon as we can get Nick Bosa back, hopefully this Thursday. Still not totally sure, but he's day-to-day, so, it's sort of trending in the right direction, sort of, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited about that. A big shout-out to Malik Collins, too, by the way, for being in there, getting another sack yesterday. He has not been like what we all hoped Javon Hargrave would be, but they're different guys for one. Malik Collins more of a run stuffer, but even that aside, like what he has been pretty good for good portions of the season. Not perfect, but I'm happy with the pickup. I think it was a good move. Sam Okuwanu in there, finding his way into the top 6, by the way, which is just wild. Wild. But we'll move on to point number, what is this, 4, 5? Point number 5. Let's go. Brock Purdy is good. He has no lingering issues. According to Kyle Shanahan from the Roughing the Passer play on Sunday, that was one where it was super awkward, and one guy's got his legs, other guy's got his head going backwards. It was pretty uncomfortable to watch, and I'm sure it was much more uncomfortable for the quarterback. So, yes, fantastic news that Brock Purdy did not have any lingering issues. Now, if you remember, just a few weeks ago, he was fine on Sunday. No injuries. He was not in the injury report after the game. Then Monday rolls around, and all of a sudden, he's on the injury report. And all of a sudden, it's taking longer. And he's getting a second MRI. And he's not playing this Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. And then, will he play against the Buffalo Bills? It's questionable. So, that's what happened after that game. And so, there's a little bit of a feeling today on Monday when Kyle Shanahan's speaking and doing his Zoom call thing. There's a little bit of a feeling of, what's the news going to be on Brock Purdy? Is he going to be healthy, or did he wake up? And I'm worried about his back or his neck. Like, that's the kind of stuff that freaks me out, because those kinds of injuries can change a person for the rest of their career. Look at Tiger Woods, right? A back injury, I know it's different, whatever, but a back injury, a neck injury, those things can have massive effects. Yes, Peyton Manning came back from neck surgery and found a way to go and win a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, but it doesn't mean that it's not a serious injury when your back or your neck gets injured. So for sure, didn't want to wake up and hear today that Brock Purdy had an injury that might affect him for the rest of his life. So it's fantastic news in my mind that he was doing good. And on top of that, Brock Purdy, my goodness, did he look good yesterday. Brock Purdy all over the headlines, as rightly so, has 13 games with 120-plus passer rating, which is the most for a quarterback in his first 3 seasons in NFL history. Congratulations to Brock Purdy. Well done. Keep it up, my guy. That's the big 5 things that I wanted to talk to you about, but a quick look at the playoff picture, because I thought it seems fair after the game. I kind of tend to do that. Right now, the 49ers have in the top left corner a 3% chance of making it to the playoffs right now, even after that win. That's bad news. Then you add to that the 49ers, if they win out, only have a 57% chance to get through into the playoffs. That's a bad situation for the 49ers. It's very unfortunate. No matter how good they play, no matter what they do over the next several games, there is a lot of help that is needed, and you're going to need other teams to go in there and do what the Buffalo Bills could not do, and that's win. Beat NFC West teams so that we have a shot to make it to the playoffs. Of course, the game's not out. It's not over, but you need help now, and that's a problem. In case you're wondering, what happens if the 49ers win all their games, but they lose to the Detroit Lions? 25% chance. You lose one game, best case scenario, 25% chance. I guess technically if you move to Miami, they're AFC, so maybe that's a little bit different there. I didn't run that number, but the point is, I ran the simulations, 125,000 simulations. Best case scenario for the 49ers, a 57% chance of making the playoffs. That stinks. That's too bad. That's unfortunate. But we're going to keep moving forward. That's where I'm at. Look forward to what you have to say in the comments, as I think many of you are going to disagree with me and say you should just sit everybody, lose the games, get the best draft pick possible. Those guys have an incredible hit rate, right? Trey Lance still sitting on the Never mind. I shouldn't bring up Trey Lance right now. The 49ers have the LA Rams in 3 days' time. It's going to be a fast turnaround, which means that guys like Isaac Guerendo might not get healthy in time. So it's going to be very interesting. But the 49ers are hopefully going to be ready to go to keep that momentum going against a Rams team who's going to have momentum of their own, beating the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be a crazy game, and it's definitely the game of the season for the 49ers in terms of importance. There is no game this season that has been more important than this game right here. The 49ers, in terms of how they're feeling in the moment based on win-loss record, obviously you can go back in time and say, if you beat the Seahawks, everything looks different. I get that. That's the most important game in that regard. But I mean, based on record, as you go into the game, this now is the game. This is it. You lose this game, everything's over. Guaranteed, done, over, zip. No mathematical way it's going to work out. There's too much help that needs to happen in order for you to make it happen. So that is over. And in fact, if I can find it real fast, I can even run that number real fast. If the 49ers lose to the Rams and win every other game, they have less than a 1% chance of making the playoffs, which is the same as saying 0. So that's it. That's the game right there. That's the one. You have this shot right here. It's all on the line, 49ers. This is playoff time. Win or go home. Let's hope that the 49ers find a way to beat the LA Rams, Matthew Stafford, in the way that they should have the first time and not blow this game up, but go destroy the enemy and move on and see what happens.